Meanwhile, the mainstream media have been saying we're heading for a recession now. It's reporting that America's economy is worse than it was during the 1929 Depression.
Is this live?
No. Do those comparisons hold up? Let's talk to Dan Gaynor.
Yeah, he's the VP of Business and Media Institute. Dan, do you feel as though the media is overstating our economic downturn?
That's an understatement. Forget what Alan Greenspan said yesterday about recession. A lot of the people in the media have hurdled that and gone straight to talk about depression more than 40 times this year already. And so we hopped in our time machine and did a little analysis comparing how the media covered the stock market crash with the recent Bear Stearns buyout. And they were 4 times more negative during the Bear Stearns buyout than the worst economic couple days in our country's history.
Right. I find it extraordinary, Dan, how many people refer to the fact, I mean, we're clearly in a downturn, but we are not technically in a recession. A recession is 2 back-to-back quarters of negative growth, and we haven't had even one yet.
Yeah, what's really incredible about that statistic is all 3 of the major networks use that comparison, that sort of technical definition of a recession. But then when they don't get the result, they sort of change it. It's a moving target. Hey, look at how they covered this. They're talking about an economy heading off a cliff or the economy a house of cards.
Right.
Take a look back in 1929. You find radical outlets like the New York Times being optimistic. Can you imagine how the New York Times would cover a stock market crash today?
But Dan, we observe this and we say, well, that's kind of interesting. Why are they doing this? But what is the impact on the economy if all the news hitting the consumer is negative?
Well, it's both an economic and a political impact. The economic impact, both Neil Cavuto here and Maria Bartiromo on CNBC have warned that we're kind of talking ourselves into a recession. USA Today wrote a story just a couple months back saying 59% of Americans thought we were likely to end up in a depression, and 79% were worried about it. Well, then the political impact of that is this is the #1 issue for Americans. And if we're in danger of going back to 1992, when the media didn't tell us the economy had rebounded, and that had a huge impact on the election. It's the economy stupid election of '92.
Right. Dan Gaynor, VP of the Business and Media Institute. Thanks, Dan. Keep watching it and be positive.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
All right, just be truthful. All right.